Again, guys, so this is just for those who follow my channel and are interested in my life and how it's going and progression of everything and all that kind of stuff, really. And this is a video really focusing on the fact that I feel dissociative symptoms following the car crash that I was in a couple of years back. For those of you who haven't seen any of my previous videos regarding this topic, I'll give a brief outline. I really will try and keep it brief because it would be boring for those of you who've already heard it before. But I won't go into my other symptoms that I suffer from. I've done separate videos on them and multiple videos on the same topics as well, same as things progress. But I think this is the first video where I've actually described my dissociative feelings. So I'll explain exactly what they are, what they feel like, and how they impact on my life. So you guys, if you are in a similar situation, you can empathise and perhaps learn from me or teach me how to cope with them better, or if I've developed certain coping skills, maybe I can help you. But maybe you're just watching it because you're interested, and hopefully you learn something that something like this exists in life, because it's very unusual. I mean, in the past I did study at Leicester Medical School as a trainee doctor, so I've got a fair old amount of medical knowledge in my head. I'm sure I've forgotten more than I know in some ways, but at the same time, this is something that I never came across in the 4 years. Well, I was there for about 5.5 years, but for the 4.5 years of functional study, so we say, before I had to leave for medical reasons, that obviously I never came across it, and I used to work in the hospitals and the GPs and everything. I never came across it once. It's a very, very unusual set of symptoms. Basically, a couple of years ago, roughly, I suffered injuries following a car crash on the motorway. I was hit at over 50 miles per hour by a truck that weighed 10 tons and I had a 15-ton carrying load. So I was hit by 25 tons travelling at 50 miles per hour. I was stationary in traffic. In front of me was an articulated lorry. Luckily, I saw this truck coming towards me in my central mirror, and I pulled slightly out of the way. I only had about half a second to react, but I pulled slightly out of the way, which stopped me and my girlfriend, who was in the car with me at the time, getting crushed by the two in between the two lorries. Because what happened instead, when we got hit, we got spun off and sent into the central reservation. Now, obviously, our injuries were still fairly severe. Most of mine are in my head, although I have physical injuries such as a semi-paralysed right thumb, for example. I can't move my thumb and certain movements and stuff like that. But obviously, a lot of mine is either emotional or mental in nature, regards to the damage that was done. I've discussed with you the fact that I have amnesia, so I do apologise if during this video I seem to forget what I'm talking about, or if I repeat myself. I do have amnesia and short-term memory loss, guys, so just bear with me. As I say, my thumb was damaged, and there's a variety of other things going on, like depression initially and stuff like that. When your girlfriend gets put in a wheelchair at the age of 22, it's not exactly the most happiest moment in your life. But I have these dissociative symptoms. That's the word that's been given to me by the counsellor and I suppose the odd psychiatrist that I've seen. The psychiatrists don't seem to want to touch it. They don't seem to understand exactly what's going on at this point in time. Obviously, there will be a specialist who's willing to look at it, maybe a neurologist or something, even though I've seen neuropsychiatrists loads of times already. I've seen my GP, I've seen a variety of other doctors, but no one, as I say, who really wants to deal with this set of symptoms. They can't seem to explain it. They don't seem to have the knowledge base or the experience to be able to say, yeah, I recognise what that is. I've had a few other things spotted and potentially diagnosed, but regards to the injuries. But this one is the one that they're all afraid of. I know if as a medical student, if this came up as one of my my exams, my myoscopy exams, and I had this patient in front of me saying this, I have no idea what they got. It is an unusual set of symptoms. If any of you guys have any insight or any ideas, proper educated ideas, please share them in the comments, because I want to learn what this is. Or if you suffer from the same shit, let me know. It'd be really useful, potentially, really helpful to both me and maybe also to you. Basically, on the day of the crash, I thought I was going to die. I was 29 at the time, and I saw this truck come in, and I had maybe half a second or a second or something like that to try and get out of the way of this truck. Up to then, I had maybe like another second of looking at it and thinking, oh shit, this thing is going to hit me. And then I had a little bit of time to react. And I remember shouting, oh shit, looking in my mirrors to try and find an escape route and putting down on the steering wheel just to attempt to get out of the way of this oncoming death, as I saw it. And at that moment in time, just before the collision, I was 100% convinced I was dead. I was going to die. You know, there was no way I was going to survive this crash. It was coming at us so fast. There was no way we were going to survive. And I fought to stay alive. I tried to get out of the way, both for my sake and also the sake of my girlfriend. It was my job to protect her, and it still is my job to protect her. But one of the weird things is I mean, obviously I remember waking up, and I remember having a dream about being hit by a truck. That was the first thing I remember, having this dream about being hit by this red truck. And as I was having it, I remember the sensation of glass in my mouth, and all I could do was just chew on this glass. I don't know. My eyes weren't open at this point. I was having this dream, and I was chewing on glass, and I was, I wasn't aware of any pain at this point in time. And then I woke up again. I mean, we were knocked unconscious for 30 minutes, and I woke up again when I heard my girlfriend screaming, oh my God, my leg, my hand, I don't want to die, my leg, I don't want to die. And I remember waking up trying to comfort her, going, it's going to be alright. I remember I couldn't really see. My glasses had been knocked off my face. I was obviously heavily concussed. I kept going in and out of consciousness, or certainly self-awareness, during the sort of the aftermath of the collision. I mean, for example, I thought I was in hospital for 20 minutes. I was there for nearly 9 hours, just over 8.5 hours. I was in absolute agony. But because my focus was on her, I wasn't really, and because I was so heavily concussed as well, I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't even know I'd been hit by a truck. I remember public got me out of the car, explained to me being hit by a truck. I was like, what, really? How long ago was that? He said about 30 minutes ago. That's how I know I was unconscious for 30 minutes. One of the reasons I know. And he asked me where we're going. I said home. Where's home? I don't know. Birmingham. I just knew the city. I didn't know where my home was in Birmingham. And what have you done over the last weekend? It was the weekend. What have you done today, the weekend? How did you get here? I can't remember. All I could remember was my name, that my girlfriend's name, and that she was in trouble, and that we wanted to get home. That's all I can remember, those 3 things. And I was in absolute agony. And I didn't have painkillers till about roughly 8.5 hours into it, when I was having my stitches done, believe it or not. And I remember they were stitching me up, and one of the doctors said, oh, well done, you've actually done it today. You managed to give enough local anaesthetic for the person not to scream when they're sticking in the stitches or whatever. They were, not word for word what they said, but they were saying, oh, for your first patient basically not to be in pain whilst having their stitches done. I said, oh, I'm in pain. It's absolutely kidding me, because I remember I could feel the needle going in and out, in and out. They go, oh, right, okay. So they put more in. I said, guys, listen, I give up. Give me painkillers, please. Not for this, but overall, my body is in so much pain. I can't fight it anymore. I remember I fought the pain for roughly 8 hours, because that was the stitches was the last thing I had before I was discharged, and I was there for 8.5, 9 hours. So it would be roughly 8 hours in. Obviously they gave me a prescription for codeine and things like that, I went for so long with, as I say, resisting this pain. Now, I don't know if obviously that did damage, the fact that I wasn't given any pain meds, certainly that I know of anyway. I mean, I was going in and out of consciousness, so I don't know. And obviously the prescription was not in conflict with anything else that I'd been given that day, so I've pretty much been confirmed as far as I'm concerned. I was definitely not given any painkillers, but until I requested them. But 3 days after the crash, I remember I was with my mother at the time, and I turned to her and I said, listen, I was outside the supermarket. I said, listen, I know what you are. I know you're not my mother. I don't hate you. I don't blame you for it. You're here to comfort my soul. I get it. You're trying to get me ready to pass on to the other side or something. I don't know exactly what you're here to do, but I know that you're just here to placate my soul until I feel ready to move on, but I'm not ready. I don't want to go. I want to go in the opposite way. I want to go back down to earth because I thought I was in the spirit world. And I thought my mum was like an angel. And I said to her, I just want to go back to my family. I don't care if I interact with them. I don't care if they see me. I'm not there for my self-gratification. I want to go back down to earth. I want to go back down to the world. I just want to watch over them. And I just want to see that they have happy lives. And if I can protect them at points, if I can just guide them in the right direction, then I will. Just let me just do some good and watch over them. And I'll be happy. I'll be happy if I can see my family having at least the best life they can after all this tragedy. I want to see at least some kind of happiness in their life in the future. Let me go down and protect and watch over them. And you imagine my mum's reaction was heartbroken. Here's her son talking to her, saying that, I know you're in the image of my mother, but you're not my mother. Send me down to the world to watch over my real mum, my real dad, my girlfriend. I want to watch over them. I want to protect them. And that feeling has never gone since that day. I'm still convinced by the world around me that this is some kind of purgatory or some kind of afterlife of some form or another. Maybe it's the afterlife that comes before the real afterlife. As I say, I think it feels like my soul's being tested in some ways. It's allowed to come to terms with what's happened before I move on. I don't know. My mind, obviously, is telling me it's pure nonsense. It's illogical to think like this. I have a scientific outlook, and no, it doesn't add up. How can this be a false reality? I think, therefore I am, in that sense. And really, I suppose that attitude of, after going for counselling for a long period of time, I must admit, I just thought, you know what? I don't care because it was upsetting me thinking that I was dead. Thinking that I'm dead now doesn't upset me. It doesn't impact on my life in a negative manner. It does a little bit if I think about it too much. I'm thinking that I'm living this fake life. But as far as I'm aware, if I just accept this existence, at least this existence isn't bad. I'm surrounded by my family. I've got happiness in the future to look forward to. If this pseudo afterlife, whatever, exists that long, I've got hopes, I've got dreams, but at the moment I'm happy enough. I'm happy. I've got my girlfriend, I've got my family, my parents, her family. I've got everything I could ever really want out of life. I'm not one for money. I'm not motivated like that. I've got some personal success, I have my own business and stuff like that, and I'm happy enough. That's all I want. That's all I want. And so if it's a false reality where I find that happiness, maybe this is my heaven after all. I don't know, maybe I have reached the afterlife. Or maybe my mind is playing tricks on me and that bump to the head did some brain damage and I'm seeing things a little bit weird. Now, the only problem is because of the bump to the head, there are, other symptoms. It's not just that feeling of death, because how do you say that? How do you explain that I feel dead? It's like, how do you explain that you feel alive? Like, what, you breathe and you've got a heartbeat? I breathe and I've got a heartbeat and I feel dead. It's not that. You just kind of know that you're alive. Just like in the same way, I know I'm dead. I can't explain why I think it or why I know it, more to the point. I just feel it. And I think a lot of it is because I went through so much pain. I don't know, maybe my nerves are shut down or something, because physically everything feels numb. Physically, I don't react to pain in the same way that I used to. I feel it. I know when I'm touching something. I know when something's hot. I know when something's hurting. It feels a lot less than it should do. And it feels more like someone else is being touched. This does not feel like my body. Now, obviously, it has its advantages. When I'm doing my training and stuff, I can push myself a lot harder now because I may be damaging my body, I may be hurting myself, but it doesn't really matter to me. It's not my body. I'm not feeling the pain, if you know what I mean. I'm slightly numbed up in that sense. It's like being on a local anaesthetic, but just before it kicks in. If you go to the dentist, have a local anaesthetic, just before it kicks in, you touch your skin, and you know you touch it, your skin's been touched, but it doesn't feel quite right. It's like that. I just feel a little bit numb. Emotionally, the same. My thoughts, no, they're not numb. They're foggy because of my memory loss. Maybe the memory loss is a side effect of being dead or feeling dead. Maybe you can't remember. I don't know. I'm going into it too much there. I think the memory is a separate issue, but this feeling of being dead is a frustration in many respects because my appetite is non-existent. Believe it or not, I never eat. Don't feel hungry. I do eat because I make sure that I have people watch over me when I eat. Because if you come in and go, oh, how you doing? Put the food in the fridge. Got a nice sandwich there for you, or I've got a lovely meal in there for you. It'll only take 5 minutes in the microwave to heat up. Or do you? It's nice bit. And I've left a protein shake on the side or something for you. Yeah, I won't have them. I'll throw them in the bin, or normally they're just left in the fridge to rot. I won't go near them. But if you were to say, sit down, have that, it'll do you some good. I'll eat the food because I'm being watched. I'll eat it. It won't feel like it's doing me any good, but at the same time, it's not doing me any bad. I'm just doing it to placate the person. And I realise, I've spent a long time, over a decade, building up my musculature, my size, my strength. And I did that in my life with hard goddamn work, hard effort, hard work, and hard eating. You only have to go back on my YouTube channel and see that I've got a few videos on what I eat and stuff. I took my diet seriously. So this is not like me not to take my diet seriously, not to eat at all. It's not like me, you don't get to my size without eating. As I once said a while back, if you want to be big, you've got to eat big, And this is not me. This is not me not eating. And it's annoying because, at my biggest, I was 19 stone 2. Now I'm 17 stone 10. I'm stable because I've got, as I say, that network that I've set up of people helping me. My girlfriend's family and my family, they help me. They know I've got this issue and they make sure I eat. So I'm a stable body weight, but it's a bit like, and I should be. And it's hard to do the one thing that I do love and enjoy very much is my weightlifting. It's part of my work anyway, but it's how do I do my weightlifting if I don't feed my body? As I've said in a lot of my videos, Big House Big Week and that, there's 2 key ingredients to every single goddamn successful story in bodybuilding. 3 ingredients. There's sleep, food, and goddamn hard work down the gym. If I haven't got food, I haven't got all 3, and it's hard to exist. In fact, food's probably the most important one, along with training, equally most as important. And actually, sleeping is very important as well. My sleep's fine. I train hard, but if I don't eat, eventually my body will break down. And that's why, as I say, I've got it set up so I've got at least some support network there where people make me eat when I'm with them. They insist that I eat because I won't. And that's the weirdest thing with this dissociated symptoms. It's not the numbness. It's not feeling in your body. I feel like I've got my thoughts, but I don't feel like I'm in my body. It's a really weird thing. It's the appetite that's the most disturbing because it seems to be trying to undo what I worked for most in life. And even though this may be a separate existence, I question it. Just like, when you're alive, you question, is this the real life? Is this a virtual reality, or is it? I've never did that when I was, before, but some people do. Well, it's like that. I'm questioning: is this really an afterlife, or is it the real world? And I'm just kind of a bit messed up in my head with the head injury and stuff that I've taken, because it hasn't been looked at properly by a doctor yet. It's hard to say. I want an answer. I want a cure, preferably. I don't want to be like this. I want to go back to the old days, being me. But that's my story on this anyway, and I hope to be doing another story at a later date telling you about the progression of these symptoms, because they haven't got any better. The only way they've gotten better, they haven't got better because the symptoms have lessened. They've gotten better because my acceptance of the tolerance has improved. So my acceptance of the symptoms has improved. My tolerance for the symptoms have improved, because I just think, well, like I said, if this is an afterlife, I don't really care. It's a pretty good afterlife to be in. I'm quite happy. So what's there to complain about? I could be in hell with my feet up and hot pokers stuck in them. I would be complaining then. I know I was definitely dead by then. I think really it's just the not knowing and constantly questioning it, which is the most annoying bit, because I want the answer to be no, this is not the afterlife. This is the real world. You still have your life to live, and I'm making the most of it. I'm living it as if it is my life, but it doesn't feel like it, and it takes a little bit of the satisfaction away that you would have otherwise from the successes that you get from life. It makes it feel a little bit more unreal, and it damages your relationships with those you love a little bit, because everything is dampened down a little bit. Your love, your feelings for those that you love feels like, yeah, you can feel the love, but it's not really there. It's not your love for them. It's harder to have a close connection to someone. It becomes a lonely world. It becomes a lonely world when it's like that. Anyway, guys, I've only gone a real dampener there. I hope you have a good time. I'll see you soon, and I will do an update video. Don't worry, I'm going to be here for a very long time, I hope. See you now. Bye-bye.